Good evening, everyone. Mike Palmer from Know Your Rights Group and Success Coaching International with another very, very big and important video update tonight. So, obviously, the huge news of the past week has, of course, been the attempted assassination of Donald Trump over the weekend. Now, we were actually just kicking off our advanced mastermind workshop on the Gold Coast on Sunday morning when the news broke. And like most people, when I just saw some of the first reports, I was completely in shock. I couldn't sort of make head nor tail of it. Then I was back up to the front speaking and then coming back and looking at new information as it came to light throughout the course of the day. And very quickly, as we got to about halfway through the day, I came to realize that things really just weren't adding up. Now, new information, of course, has come to light over the past few days, and it's obvious, to me at least, that the mainstream media narrative on the whole story is about as believable as the fact that COVID came from a bat in a Wuhan market. Now, let me make it clear. I'm not for one moment professing that, I know the full story or anything like that. And who knows, we may never know the full story. But it's pretty clear to me that the mainstream media story or the mainstream media narrative, really just doesn't add up. I mean, we've got a 20-year-old with no motive who's supposedly evaded, highly trained Secret Service personnel, and has then supposedly shot Donald Trump, but essentially missed. And this is what they're currently saying. So let's have a closer look at what has now come to light. Now, first and foremost, the thing that struck me is, hang on a minute, this has all just happened 1 week after Biden totally tanked, at the presidential debates. He's since then had his own people calling for him to step down, and yet he still refuses to do so. Now, of course, it comes to my mind that it would be obviously a lot easier for everybody concerned if he simply had no opposition. So that's one of the first thoughts I've had. And then on the back of that, it's also happened just 2 days before Trump has formally accepted his official nomination at the Republican National Conference. Now, could this all be coincidence? Well, possibly. But you know what? I'm just not really a big fan for believing in coincidences, especially when it comes to politics. But hey, maybe that's just me. So let's have a look at the actual shooting itself. We've got a 20-year-old that, to date, as of now, seems to have absolutely no motive for taking out Trump, and just coincidentally, there's that word again, happened to be in a recent BlackRock advertisement. Isn't that strange? And it turns out that he actually failed to make his high school rifle team. So if you haven't seen that bit of news, that's the article there that you can go and have a read of. And I'm just going to cover some of the small bits. Donald Trump shooter Thomas Matthew Crooks failed to make school rifle team. More details are emerging of Thomas Crooks, 20, the man who attempted to assassinate Donald Trump. Crooks lived in the Pittsburgh suburb of Bethel Park, about an hour's drive south of the Trump rally, where law enforcement officials say he fired at the former president. Crooks graduated from Bethel Park High School in 2022, according to a local media report and a video of the school's graduation ceremony. Crooks tried out for the school's rifle team, but was turned away because he was a bad shooter. Frederick Mack, current captain of the team, who was a few years behind Crooks at the school, said. Records show he was registered as a Republican voter in Pennsylvania, but federal campaign finance reports show he gave just US $15 to a progressive political action committee on January 20th in 2021, the day President Biden was sworn into office. This year's presidential election would be the first one he was even old enough to vote in. FBI has not yet identified the shooter's ideology, but they're combing through his social media feeds and weapons. So far, they've not found any threatening writing or social media posts. So no motive, couldn't shoot at school. I mean, what's going on? Now, of course, that in and of itself, really doesn't mean anything. Maybe that failure at high school, inspired him to go out and do lots and lots of practice since then and, hone his shooting skills. But I certainly haven't seen anything in the media to make me believe that that's what's actually happened. Now, then we have the fact that he was actually on the roof for over 20 minutes. 20 minutes, and numerous people have not only seen him, but seen him long enough to actually take photos and video footage, and they're yelling and screaming and calling out to law enforcement, and no one's taken any action in 20 minutes when they've been told that there's a guy on a roof with a rifle and Trump standing there talking. Once again, something just doesn't add up. But what's even more concerning is that there are reports, and again, I'll make this clear, okay, they're just reports, they're not confirmed, they're just reports, that the lead sniper in the Secret Service team actually had this shooter in his sights for 3 full minutes. 3 minutes, he was requesting permission from his superiors to take the shot, and yet he was denied that entire time. Why? Something doesn't seem right there. Now, the report goes on to say that rather than being hailed as a hero for, ultimately, taking the shot to neutralize this shooter, he's actually now lost his job for not following orders. So here's the report or the statement there. And this has been doing the rounds on social media. And again, it is just a report. It hasn't been confirmed, but this is what it says. It says, "My name is Jonathan Willis. I'm the officer in the famous photo of the 2 snipers on the roof at Trump's rally. I came here to inform the public that I had the assassin in my sight for at least 3 minutes, but the head of the Secret Service refused to give the order to take out the perp. 100% the top brass prevented me from killing the assassin before he took the shots at President Trump." Now, there's a little blurb that's a little harder to read down the bottom, and it says, "I didn't follow the orders, though. As soon as the shooter opened on Trump, I returned fire, despite the strict orders not to engage. I had eyes on the shooter for 3 minutes, watching him fiddle with his rifle and adjust the scope. It was obvious he was a shooter, yet I wasn't allowed to engage. After I killed the shooter, I was arrested, questioned by the FBI, and just released an hour ago. Already lost my job for not following orders, but I'm glad I took the shots anyway." So you can make of that what you will, but again, when you add it into everything else, we see some real issues. Now, then it gets even more bizarre, is really the only word I've got for it. Because when questions were actually asked of the Secret Service director, A, how on earth did the shooter manage to get up onto that roof in the first place? And B, why wasn't the Secret Service actually in that vantage point, given what a clear spot it was? The response was that it was apparently a safety issue because of the sloped surface on the roof, despite photos clearly showing the actual Secret Service snipers on a very similarly sloped roof. So here's the article if you haven't heard this argument yet. Sloped roof used by Trump rally gunman had safety factor considerations, Secret Service Director. Secret Service Director Kimberly Cheetle said in an interview that aired Tuesday morning that a sloped roof used by the gunman who attempted an assassination of former President Trump last week at a rally had safety factor considerations. That building in particular had a sloped roof at its highest point. Don't most roofs have a slope at their highest point? Isn't that kind of how roofs work? I don't know, maybe it's just me. Cheetle said in an interview that aired on ABC's Good Morning America Tuesday morning to the outlet's Pierre Thomas, and so there was a safety factor that would be considered there that we wouldn't want to put somebody up on a sloped roof, and so the decision was made to secure the building from inside. Really? That's really your official story? You secured the building with the best view and the best vantage point from inside. Didn't have anyone around the perimeter in case anyone climbed up the outside. You were securing it from the inside. Well, you didn't do a very good job securing it, did you? And this sloped surface, this is the photo, okay? So be aware, this is the photo that's doing the rounds of the sniper on the roof. And yes, there's a little bit of a slope. But compare that to the photo of the actual Secret Service snipers, and you can see that there's a hell of a lot more of a slope on their roof than on the shooters, and they're claiming they couldn't put the snipers on that roof because it had too much of a slope. I mean, is anyone really following along with this and believing this? I mean, please, at the end of the day, let's get real. Since when does a slightly sloped roof impact whether a Secret Service sniper takes up a position or not to protect a past and now very likely future president? I mean, really? This is nuts. So, clearly the mainstream narrative isn't the real story. So, what other possibilities are there? And there's been all sorts of theories floating around. Now, some people are saying that Trump set the whole thing up and it was all orchestrated by him just to win votes. Well, here's my thoughts on that, okay? If things really happened as they played out on TV, which doesn't mean that they're real, of course, okay? Just bear with me for a moment. But if they actually played out as they were on TV, then I would say that's got to be a pretty big gamble to take for someone to be so accurate that they shot him in the ear but not actually seriously injure him. So I really don't see that as likely. So then there's the other possibility, okay? And that's all fake. The whole thing was fake, as some other people are claiming. Trump didn't really get shot. It's all just fake blood. The shooter didn't really get killed, despite, of course, photos showing completely the contrary. And yes, I know, I understand, photos can be faked, of course. No one in the crowd really actually got killed. Again, despite people being interviewed, live there just a few minutes afterwards, explaining how they tended to this deceased man. And they were just ordinary, everyday people. They weren't, Secret Service agents who were in on it or anything like that. So here's the question. Is all of that possible? Well, yes, I guess it is. But again, here's the thing, okay? Biden was already losing and he was being asked to step down. Trump was clearly ahead. So he didn't need to go to these extraordinary lengths to try and get more ahead or get more votes. And just think of how many people would have to be in on it. If just one person spoke out, it would blow the whole thing for something that just wasn't necessary anyway. So again, personally, I just don't see that being the true story either. So there's one other possibility that comes at least to my mind, and that is that the deep state, the Republicans, some other group, whatever label you want to give them, that could clearly see that Biden was failing miserably and that he was refusing to step down, took matters into their own hands and attempted a repeat of the JFK assassination by setting up a patsy, in this case, this Thomas Matthew Crooks, just like they did with JFK and Lee Harvey Oswald, to try and take Trump out just days before he was officially nominated. Now that seems to make a lot more sense, at least to me. Now, I'm sure there'll be lots more that comes out in the coming weeks and months leading up to the election. But as always, please question everything. And if you feel that things just don't add up, at least keep an open mind to other possibilities other than what just the mainstream media keeps shoving down people's throats. So moving on, but still speaking of the mainstream media, the big story from here in Australia this week is actually from just the other day, where it was reported that the banks here will actually have to refund $28 million to customers on low incomes. So I urge you all to look at this article because it may very well affect you or somebody that you know. So it is entitled, Banks to Refund $28 Million to Customers on Low Incomes. Banks will refund more than $28 million to customers on low incomes after a review revealed they were systematically charging high fees to those who could least afford it. The Australian Securities Investment Commission, ASIC, report Better Banking for Indigenous Consumers found ANZ, Bendigo and Adelaide Bank. That was an interesting one. CBA and Westpac, the usual suspects, kept at least 2 million Australians on low incomes, including many relying on welfare payments in high fee accounts. ASIC Commissioner Alan Kirkland said the banks had caused financial distress through avoidable fees and complicated processes. Banks knew that many of these customers on low incomes were in inappropriate high fee accounts, and it's taken ASIC's intervention to force them to act. Before our review, most banks only provided their customers with difficult opt-in processes for switching to low-fee banking options, including forcing some consumers to travel hundreds of kilometres to their nearest bank branch. Following the review, the banks have moved more than 200,000 customers into low-fee accounts, saving these customers an estimated $10.7 million in future yearly savings. Kirkland said that more needs to be done to ensure that this doesn't happen again. Absolutely. This is the second report from ASIC in the last 2 months that highlights where banks have failed to put customers' needs at the heart of their operations, he said. We expect all banks, not just those we reviewed for this report, to consider these findings, improve the accessibility and distribution of low-fee accounts, and commit adequate resourcing to specialist First Nation services. So, once again, we see the banks, acting on, behalf of themselves, no care or concern for their customers. Now, on a similar note, have a look at this headline from the ANZ. Now, I can't access the whole article, but the headline and just the first few lines should tell you more than enough. ANZ Bank doesn't serve the average person anymore, CEO says. Well, isn't that a revelation? The Chief Executive Officer of one of Australia's largest banks said that we don't bank the middle anymore due to regulatory buffers that keep working households from borrowing. I don't know that we're representatives of those people, said Shane Elliott, CEO of ANZ Holdings Limited. He said the sort of people we bank and interact with every day with debt are not the middle Australia that it used to be. So here again we have a clear example of one of the big four not caring about their customers at all. So if the banks aren't going to cater to you, then I would urge you to stop catering to them and give some serious thought to who you choose to bank with moving forwards. Now, speaking of banks and, of course, money, there was a very interesting article that came out in the mainstream media just today, actually, about why it is so important to keep using cash. Now, that's the title of the article. It's actually a very, very long article, so I'm not going to read it out. But I urge you, go and look this article up and have a read because it is very well written and it does explain the issues with this cashless push. If you can't see that for some reason, the title is Cash is Freedom and Independence, which is why progressives want to abolish it. In a card-only society, the state will know everything about us, says Peter Hitchens. So that's the title. So I urge you, please look that article up and go and make the time to read it. And of course, once you've done that, it's a very timely reminder to please make sure, if you haven't already done so, that you do add your signature to Jason Bryce's petition, which of course is the one to legislate a formal cash and banking guarantee in this country. Again, you should find that going up in the comments. If you can't, if you're watching this on YouTube or something, just do a search online, petition to legislate a formal cash and banking guarantee, and you'll find that link. And again, a reminder, of course, to join our Call Out Cashless Businesses Facebook group. Let's keep naming and shaming those businesses that refuse to accept cash. And of course, the Cash is King discussion group, which is a great place to post those articles, post these videos, let people know the truth about this cashless push. Again, you'll find links in the comments or just do a search on Facebook. Now, speaking of some of those cashless problems, turns out that the Star Casino actually had to shut down all of their pokie machines due to a cashless update glitch. Don't you just love karma? So there's the article if anybody missed that story. And it says, the Star shuts down all pokies after upgrade glitch. The Star shut down its poker machines after a glitch with an upgrade completed in preparation for the change to cashless gaming. In an ASX statement today, the Star Entertainment Group said it made the decision to switch off pokies from 10 p.m. on Saturday after post-upgrade testing identified system performance issues. What a shame. All electronic gaming machines and electronic table games across the Star's 3 venues in Sydney, Brisbane and the Gold Coast have been affected. The decision was taken by the Star to ensure compliance with relevant regulations and to maintain the company's commitment to safer gambling procedures, the group said. The Star is working closely with its external provider, Konami, to address the operational issues as soon as possible and provide an update once operations return to normal. Once they keep stealing everybody's money is what they mean to say. Like the Roman bars that I mentioned on the last video update, where they lost $170,000 in donations because they chose to go completely cashless. I certainly hope those casinos suffer the very same consequences. And then maybe then they'll wake up to the fact that people do not want a cashless society. People do not want cashless venues, and people most assuredly do not want cashless gaming. So, you know, they've got to get the message. Okay, and then the final article that I want to address tonight is actually the official report on the $2.5 billion that the Sydney toll companies are currently raking in from motorists in New South Wales. So if you're in New South Wales, or if you know anyone who drives in New South Wales, please make sure you look up this article. It is entitled, Toll Review Report Slams Sydney's $2.5 billion Annual Toll Take. This week saw the independent toll review handed to the New South Wales state government. The report exposes the full impact of road privatisation, describing Sydney's road toll network as a poorly functioning patchwork of different price structures that is expected to cost motorists $195 billion in tolls over the next 35 years, with residents of Western Sydney likely to bear the brunt of tolls. The report offers a range of recommendations, including tolls being charged on a per kilometre rate, where the rate falls over greater distances. As it stands, Sydney is the most tolled city in the world. Wow, what a great claim to fame for Sydney-siders. The most tolled city in the world, with motorists currently paying $2.5 billion in tolls annually. New South Wales Road Minister John Graham says toll reform is critical for Sydney, and this is a once-in-a-generation chance to address this issue. The New South Wales state government will now consider the report, so it's a case of watch this space for possible toll relief. Really? I'm not really a sort of sit back and watch kind of guy. Not sure about you. So if you're not one for just sitting around and waiting for the government to actually do the right thing and look after you, then of course you can take matters into your own hands and challenge any and all toll fines, okay, using that tried, tested and proven 3-step process in Chapter 3 of the Aussie Speeding Fines book. And of course, read the other chapters as well, because they explain in particular, okay, why those tolls are unlawful. Firstly, of course, those toll companies don't actually own the roads. We, the people, own the roads. They simply have the management rights for those roads, okay, and those rights do not include collecting money on behalf of the Crown, which of course, as you know, long-time viewers of these videos would know, is the only lawful way to collect tolls, duties, taxes, whatever you want to call them, they're all the same thing, pursuant to the Commonwealth Constitution. Secondly, of course, these private corporations do not disclose the full terms and conditions of the contracts that they allege that you enter into with them when you drive on those roads, which they merely manage. They're not their roads. Specifically, of course, the actual costs of driving on those roads. They don't have the actual fees listed anymore, which obviously invalidates any claimed contract. And finally, as Bob Jarvis has been arguing up in Queensland for many years now, since of course they removed all the actual toll payment booths and you can no longer make any payments in cash at the time, that also invalidates any claim they may have against you, because of course they cannot force you to use unlawful means of payment such as direct debit and credit cards, which of course are not provided for in the Bills of Exchange Act, okay? So please, if you don't understand that, grab that book, grab that Know Your Rights book, which talks all about the Commonwealth Constitution, okay, and everything to do with Bills of Exchange Act and money, and that's also covered in that Bank Secrets book as well. You'll find some links to all of those somewhere in the description. At the end of the day, as always, please stop throwing good money after bad at these private corporations that exist clearly just to rake in extraordinary profits from unsuspecting motorists that just simply don't know any better. Okay, so just before I wind up tonight, a very quick reminder that our first and final ever live events are on in Townsville next weekend. So not this coming weekend, but next weekend, the 26th, 27th and 28th of July. So if you do want to take advantage of your one and only chance to see us live in person up in far north Queensland, to learn all the incredible updated information we have, to ask all the questions that you may have of us, then please make sure you go to our seminar page. And again, you'll find a link in the description and in the comments to do that. All right, so I'm going to leave things there for tonight. Before I do that, of course, the latest memes. And not surprisingly, they're all Trump-related tonight. This one's been doing the rounds. I think this one's great, clearly showing the sniper on the roof. And, oh, no, they're saying it's all clear here, nothing to see here. Seems to be a pretty apt description. I saw this one today. I quite like this one. It says, everyone has their weakness, every legend. So Samson, of course, with his hair, Achilles with his heel, and apparently the Secret Service with a slope on a roof. That's their weakness. Yes, there's been a few of these doing the rounds. They're a bit of good fun. There's Hillary in the background and good old Obama. What do you mean they missed? And there's Hillary again. The face you make when you've found out they've missed. It's, you have a laugh, but with all the stories that have been doing around the last few years. Yes, another good one. Why didn't they have the Secret Service on that roof? Well, as it says, no reason to have the CIA and the Secret Service on the same roof. And I'm sure you can connect the dots there. So I'm going to leave you with this image. And I'm going to say this about it. It doesn't matter what you think of Trump, whether you love him or hate him, think he's wonderful or think he's a fool. Okay, you've got to admire him. Here's a guy who's 78 years old. Okay, that means for most of you watching this video, okay, that's the age of your parents or possibly even your grandparents. This guy, before he got into politics, was a billionaire. He could have been off on, the golf course, relaxing, but instead, he's standing up there for his country, getting shot at and standing back up and saying, I will not back down. I will stand strong because I love my country. Okay? And no matter what else you think of him, I believe at least you should respect him for that. So I am going to finish up on that note, and I do urge you to please use all of the resources that are available to you on our website, on the other websites that we recommend, to please get informed, get fired up, and get proactive. If a 70-year-old man can stand up for his country after getting shot at, then you can take a few small, simple actions as well. It's really not that hard. As always, these videos are completely free to watch. You'll find them on our BitChute channel. You'll find many of them on our YouTube channels, the ones that haven't been deleted. And of course, on the videos page on our Facebook, videos tab, on our Facebook page. Our radio shows, again, completely free to listen to every second Tuesday night. Again, this coming Tuesday, we will be back live on air with another 2-hour show. Again, you should find a link somewhere in the description for that, or again, just go to our website, click on the radio show tab page, click on the big black listen live button. We have fixed that streaming issue now, so everyone can tune in no matter where you are in the world between 8 and 10 p.m. on Tuesday night. If you've missed any of those live shows, you want to listen to some of the podcasts from the last 10 years, you can join up as a podcast member for less than $5 a week. That's all it costs to learn all about your rights. And of course, if you want to go above and beyond that, then I do recommend, of course, our Know Your Rights book, the essential step-by-step manual for understanding and exercising your rights. That Aussie Speeding Fines book that I mentioned mentioned before, for challenging all manner of unjust and unlawful fines. And again, we do know a lot of people are genuinely struggling financially at the moment, so please stop throwing good money after bad at your unsecured loans, your credit cards, your personal loans. Grab that Bank Secrets Revealed book, and you can discharge those very, very quickly with their 4-step process. Again, you'll find links in the description for these individually. You can get them as part of the combo pack. The combo pack does, of course, include our tote bag, just as a little bonus, no extra charge. Of course, we do have our caps and beanies that are still available, especially with this colder weather. People see the logo, they come up, they have a chat. Great way to meet like-minded people. Now, speaking of meeting like-minded people, one of the best ways, of course, to do that is to attend our live events. We had a great turnout at our Gold Coast events this past weekend. We've got our Townsville events coming up in a week and a bit. If you can't make those live events for one reason or another, please make sure you grab a copy of our home study course, which is a complete recording of one of those 2.5-day live events with 3 custom-made workbooks, 17 DVDs with all of the presentations. You can pause, rewind, fast forward in the comfort of your own home. It is a really great resource that you'll come back to again and again and again. As I said, we did just run our Gold Coast events on the weekend, and what was very, very popular at those events was the brand new USB drives. A lot of people are saying, look, I want to keep the CDs and the DVDs as a backup. You can get these. They've got a USB-A and a USB-C end on them, and so you can convert all of the CDs and DVDs onto that USB and just use that. The other thing that was very, very popular that we also sold out of at our weekend events was our Ultimate Platinum Pack. So for those who are serious, you want to dive right in, you want to get into every single physical product that we have, that Aussie Speeding Fines has, that Bank Secrets Revealed has. Everything is in there, every disc, every CD, every book. It is a fantastic product at a very, very significantly discounted price. And again, you'll find some links in the description, or you'll find it on our products page. So I'm going to leave things there. I hope you all have a fantastic weekend. I will, of course, speak to you next Thursday night, and of course live on Tuesday night for our next live radio show. Until then, take care.